My girlfriend went on a trip to Hawaii and texted me to break up. So I agreed and gave her a surprise that made her smile disappear when she got home. My name's Noah Hale. I'm 31, work in software, mostly remote, the kind of job that keeps me staring at screens more than people. I live with my girlfriend Renee Calder. She's 29, works in marketing, talks about brand identity a lot, and somehow our one-bedroom apartment looks more like her Pinterest board than a shared space. My mornings are quiet. Gym at 7:00, coffee at 8, laptop open by 9:00. Renee's mornings start with her hitting snooze 4 times and cursing at her work emails. Her vanity table looks like a small explosion of makeup and skincare samples. Mine's a single mug and a laptop charger. That week she was getting ready for a girls-only trip to Hawaii. For 3 weeks straight, she and her friends Ava and Tara were in and out of the apartment planning it. Every time they came over, they spread out like they own the place, talking about swimsuits, air bubs, and what bars they had to visit. Ava looked like she belonged on a yacht, hair extensions, always in gym clothes but never actually sweaty. Tara was quieter, nice enough, but followed Ava's lead. Whenever I walked through the living room to grab something from the fridge, the joke started. Poor Noah, Ava said once. You going to survive a week without adult supervision? Renee laughed, flipping her hair. He'll probably reorganize the pantry or something. I smiled because that's easier than arguing. At least when I reorganize something, it stays clean. They laughed louder. It didn't sting. It just reminded me how far apart we drifted. Before I continue the story, please subscribe to the channel and tell me first, where did you hear this from? Write it in the comments because what happens next, most people won't believe. Night before her flight, she was packing around, tossing clothes into a suitcase. Can I use your card for emergencies? She asked, not looking up. What kind of emergencies? I said, in case my debit card gets locked or something. I didn't love it, but I handed her my card. Don't go wild with it. She rolled her eyes. Relax, I'm not an idiot. The apartment felt empty the second the door closed behind her that morning. I dropped her at the airport, kissed her goodbye. She kissed me back like she was already in line for boarding. Before it even pulled out of the terminal, she was on her phone, thumbs moving fast. 2 days later, she started posting photos. Sunsets, beaches, drinks, and pineapples. Those overly filtered living my best life captions. I scrolled for a minute, then set the phone down. She didn't mention me in a single one. That night she called while I was making dinner. Hey, can you send me the Netflix password? We're watching something before we go out. I sent it. She hung up. The next day she posted again, her on a boat, hair blowing, some guy's arm barely in frame. The caption said, freedom looks good on everyone. The comments were full of fire emojis and yes, queen nonsense. I didn't comment. Later that evening I was checking a code push at work when her message came through. Wasn't long. I've been thinking a lot since I got here. I feel like we've been different for a while. And maybe it's time we both see what else is out there. We can talk when I'm back. I read it twice. It wasn't even mean, just cold like a memo. I didn't text back, I didn't throw anything, didn't pace around. I just sat there for a bit staring at the little gray bubble that never turned into more words. I opened the window. The night air felt heavy, kind of sticky. I saved a screenshot. The message and slid my phone face down on the counter. Then I grabbed a notepad and wrote 3 lines. Cancel lease renewal. Move stuff out, don't wait for her to decide. I looked around the living room. Plants, framed quotes, candles shaped like fruit. Half my stuff was in storage bins under the bed. Funny how you don't notice how little space you have until someone reminds you it's not really yours. Renee wanted space. She just forgot I could take that literally. I shut my laptop, cleaned dishes, and turned off the lights. My to-do list for the next day was already in my head. Before going to bed, I looked at my phone one more time. The message still sat there bright on the screen like it was waiting for a reaction I wasn't going to give. I locked the screen and said it out loud, mostly to the empty room. Guess I'm the emergency now. The next morning I woke up early, made coffee, and opened my banking app out of habit. The number on the screen didn't look right. My checking account balance was $5,000. Lower than yesterday. I scrolled through the recent transactions. $528,743. $3 charges, same day, all in Wiki. A luxury spa, a jewelry boutique, and a seaside private dining experience. I sat there staring at the phone. My card was in her wallet. I hadn't touched it since the night before she left. I called the number on the back. The woman on the line sounded half asleep but polite. Thank you for calling. How can I help? Yeah, 37, I said. Someone just spent $5,000 of my money in Hawaii. That wasn't me. She looked it up, confirmed the transactions, and told me they'd already been processed. We can open a fraud report. Mr. Hale, you'll get an email with the case number. Do that. I said when we hung up. I got the confirmation email. I opened my laptop, created a folder on the desktop, named it Proof, and dropped in the screenshots of every charge plus the case file. The folder looked small, but it carried weight. This was my start over, but while the coffee cooled, I thought about all the smaller money things that happened before this. Renee always forgetting her card when we went out. The rent delays, the you make more anyway comments that used to sound like jokes. They weren't jokes. By 9:00 a.m. I already knew what I had to do next. I called the landlord. His name's Paul, good guy, kind of slow to respond but fair. Hey Paul, it's Noah from 3B Morning. Noah, what's up? I'm not renewing the lease. I'll be moved out before the end of the month. He paused. Everything all right, you two seem settled. Plans changed, I said. Can you send me confirmation of cancellation? Sure thing, I'll email it over. When I hung up, I opened the Notes app and made a checklist. Move my stuff, box hers, photos for documentation, return keys. That list became my plan for the week. I started in the bedroom. Her side of the closet looked like a clothing store exploded. I worked slow and careful, folding every piece, stacking them in boxes. Each one got a label written in thick black marker: Renee closet, Renee vanity, Renee shoes, Renee bathroom. Packing her vanity was the worst. Dozens of lipsticks, bottles, brushes, things I didn't even know existed. Everything smelled like her perfume. I kept finding small notes and receipts tucked into drawers. When I got to the bottom, there was a white envelope stuck under a pile of journals. It said Dad in her handwriting. I didn't open it. I held it for a few seconds, then set it aside. I took photos of every room before sealing. The boxes: bedroom, living room, kitchen. Each photo got a timestamp, proof that nothing was broken or missing. I even vacuumed under the bed and wiped the counters. Around 3:00 p.m., someone knocked. I opened the door and found Mrs. Tran from next door holding her cat carrier. She's nice but always fishing for gossip. "Oh dear, are you two moving?" she asked, trying to peek around me. "Just me," I said. "Oh no, did something happen?" "Yeah," I said. "She went to Hawaii." Mrs. Tran frowned like that answered nothing, which it did. "That's too bad, you were such a cute couple. Guess looks aren't everything," I said and went back to tapping boxes. She mumbled something about wishing me luck and walked off. When I finally took a break, the letter to her dad was still sitting on the counter. I found an envelope, wrote Ella called her on it. I still had her address from their holiday card last winter, slid the letter inside. Sticky note that said, "Figured this should be with family," and dropped it in the outgoing mail downstairs. Back in the apartment, I checked my laptop. A new email from the bank had come in. Inside it read, "We've identified one disputed charge is processed via Calder Marketing Group's corporate travel portal while using your card. Please confirm this was not authorized by you." I read that twice. Her company card. She must have used her work travel system to book the resort, maybe for points. That meant her company's accounting department would see it. I replied with the same calm tone I'd used all day. "Not authorized. Confirming fraud report still open." Attached every receipt, every screenshot, then hit send. I didn't need revenge. The systems she relied on were already doing it for me. As I finished tapping the last box, I noticed how quiet the place felt. The constant background noise of her music, her calls, her perfume. It was all gone, just air and space. Now I moved boxes of her stuff to one side of the living room, lined them up neatly. My side of the apartment was already empty. By evening, I'd filled 8 boxes total, 4 hers, 4 mine. The shelves looked naked. The couch looked bigger than usual. I opened the window. City noise rolled in like static. I sat down on the floor back against the wall and took a photo. Half-empty living room. The light from the window cutting through the middle like a line between before and after. I posted it to my social feed with one line: "Some doors closed themselves." No tags, no drama, just that. The phone buzzed a few minutes later, friends liking it. A few question marks in DMs, but I didn't answer anyone. I leaned my head back against the wall and watched the sun slide down behind the buildings. The apartment smelled like cleaning spray now instead of her perfume. For the first time in a long time, it felt like I could breathe. 4 days after I boxed the last of her things, the place was quiet. I was scrubbing the counters when my phone buzzed with a voicemail from a number I didn't know. It was someone from Calder Marketing Group, Renee's company. The woman's voice was polite but firm. "Mr. Hale, we're reviewing a corporate expense attached to your card. We'd like to confirm details," she explained. The resort booking ran through their corporate travel portal using my card, and my name and phone auto-filled from the card profile. I opened my laptop, attached the receipts and screenshots from proof, and sent them over with a one-line email. All transactions unauthorized. Fraud case active. 10 minutes later, they replied thanking me and mentioning their internal compliance process. Translation: Renee had just walked into an HR meeting she didn't expect. By afternoon, the apartment was spotless. Only her boxes were left, stacked in rows by the living room wall. I'd already moved my things to the short-term place across town, except for a small tools cleaning box I kept back for the walkthrough. I was planning to drop off the keys to the landlord the next day. Someone knocked hard. I figured it was Paul for the inspection. It wasn't. Renee stood there, tan from the trip, sunglasses on, suitcase handle in hand. She'd flown home 2 days early. She looked surprised to see the boxes before she even stepped inside. "What the hell is this?" she said. I wiped my hands on a towel. "Your stuff. You said we needed space." "I just made some. You're throwing me out like trash." "You ended it," I said. "I'm just following instructions." As she pushed past me, scanning the place, the empty shelves, my desk gone, my closet bare. "You actually moved out. You didn't even wait for me to come back. You told me not to. That text wasn't final." She snapped. "You're so dramatic. I meant we should talk when I got home." "You wrote, 'see other people,'" I said. Hard to misread that. Her voice rose. "You embarrass me. Everyone saw your post. People are asking questions." "It said a sentence about doors," I said. "If that embarrassed you, that's on you." She grabbed one of the boxes, saw her name written on it, and laughed in disbelief. "You labeled them." "God, you're insane." "Organized," I said. For a second, she didn't know what to say. She crossed her arms, pretending to look calm. Then came the switch. Her voice softened. "I didn't mean for things to blow up like this. The trip was stupid, we all fought, I shouldn't have texted what I did, I leaned on the counter waiting, she kept going about the card thing. It was an accident, I was going to pay you back, then your HR shouldn't have emailed me this morning. I said that froze her. They what? They asked me to confirm the charges. I did. The color drained from her face. Then she slammed the box shut, glaring. You'll regret this, no. You think you're the victim, but everyone's going to know what kind of person you are. Already do, I said. She stormed out, heels echoing down the hallway. I waited until the door clicked shut. Before exhaling, the room felt even quieter than before. A few minutes later, my laptop pinged. Another email from the bank. We've linked additional receipts to Calder Marketing Group. Investigation expanding. I didn't smile, but it felt like closure creeping closer. I stacked the last of her boxes by the front door, printed an inventory list, and taped it to the top box. I wanted it clear that every single thing was accounted for. When I stepped into the hallway, Victor was coming back from walking his dog. He glanced at the moving straps in my hand. She show up. Yeah, I said, short visit. He gave a dry chuckle. People like that only learn when the world stops giving. I locked the dolly wheels, nodded. Then class is in session. Together we carried the last 2 boxes I'd kept back, tools and cleaning supplies, down to his truck. It took maybe 15 minutes. He didn't ask questions and I didn't offer any. By early evening, Paul, the landlord, showed up for the final walkthrough. The apartment looked cleaner than when we'd moved in. He walked from room to room with his clipboard, nodding. Never seen a tenant leave it this tidy, he said. I handed him the keys. Appreciate it. He signed the inspection sheet, tore off my copy. She's still picking up her stuff. Eventually, I said, it's labeled. Keep a spare so she can schedule pickup. He shrugged, pocketed the keys, and left. The sun was setting through the blinds, throwing long stripes across the empty floor. I stood there for a second, phone in hand, then took one photo of the clean apartment, posted it to my feed with a short caption. That's one lesson paid in full. Then I locked the screen and walked out for the last time. The picture of the empty apartment had barely been up an hour before everything went loud again. My phone lit up in a way it hadn't since she first left. Messages, notifications, calls, like someone had kicked a beehive. The first was Ava. You're seriously unstable, Noah. Renee told us what you did, throwing her stuff out. Who does that? You need help. Then came Tara, softer but still defensive. Hey, I don't know what's going on, but maybe you should just talk to her. You're both acting crazy right now. Please don't post anything else. She's really upset. People like that never want truth. They just want confirmation for their version of it. By noon the next day, Renee's meltdown was fully public. Her stories were paragraphs long, screenshots, vague posts about betrayal and emotional abuse. One clip was just her crying, saying she came home to find her life on the curb. The comments filled with sympathy and fire emojis. Ava commented, stay strong. Tara added a heart. I watched one full loop, muted the account, and moved on. It didn't take long for the ripple to hit my inbox. Mutual friends texted, man, what happened? You okay? She's saying some wild stuff. I ignored them all. I spent 3 years explaining things to her. I wasn't going to start explaining her to anyone else. That night, a little after midnight, my phone rang again. The caller ID switched between unknown and her name. I let it buzz 4 times before picking up. Her voice hit immediately, shaky and high, like she'd been crying and screaming at the same time. You're ruining me, Noah. Do you even get what you've done? I'm pretty sure I do, I said. You made insane, she shouted. You're posting cryptic crap so people think I cheated or something. I didn't post you, I said. You posted yourself. There was silence for a moment, then sobbing. You don't understand. I didn't mean to hurt you. She stopped mid-sentence and her tone changed. The tears dropped off fast. You know what? It wasn't even serious. You were just convenient. I was finding myself. I kept my voice level, didn't ruin it, just stopped funding it. She started yelling again, but I'd already hung up. The call came through twice more, then stopped. The next morning, an email from the bank investigator landed in my inbox with the subject line, evidence attached. I opened it. The attachment was a merchant confirmation with the signed receipt and timestamp. Same boutique in Wiki. Her signature matched and the clerk's notes listed my card. Standing at the counter, sunglasses on her head, laughing with the clerk as she signed a slip. My card sat right there on the counter beside her phone. No explanation needed. I saved the file and dropped it into the folder with the rest. I didn't send it anywhere. I didn't need anyone else to see. The facts had a way of handling themselves if you just let them breathe. Later, when I stepped out to grab groceries, I ran into Victor in the hallway. He was walking Hank, his big gray dog that looks like it could pull a truck. He looked at me, saw the set of my face, and nodded. She's still losing. Pretty loudly, I said. He leaned on the doorframe. People like that think volume wins arguments. Yeah, I said, I'm just glad she's yelling somewhere else. Victor chuckled once, that low kind of laugh older guys have when they've seen enough to stop being surprised. You did the right thing, don't let anyone convince you otherwise. I won't, I said, appreciate it. He clapped my shoulder, muttered something about Hank needing dinner, and walked off. The hallway went quiet again. That night was calm for the first time in days. I cooked something simple, ate while answering a few work messages, then scrolled through headlines until the noise of the week faded. Around 10:00, I plugged in my phone and saw 40 missed calls and 24 new texts. Some from numbers I didn't know, some blocked. Most were screenshots or half sentences that didn't make sense. The last message, though, stood out. Just one line. You should know Lucas isn't who you think. No name, no context. I stared at it a second, then typed back, who's Lucas? No reply. I checked her posts again. Nothing new yet, just the same dramatic captions about losing everything. Maybe it was one of her friends trying to stir things. Maybe someone who wanted to feel important. Either way, I wasn't chasing it. I closed the messages, muted the number. The apartment was silent. Tires hissed on wet pavement outside. I looked at the stack of boxes I'd yet to move from storage. The phone on my feed still sitting there with quiet likes trickling in. Renee was spiraling in front of an audience trying to rewrite a story everyone would eventually forget. I didn't need to win, I just needed to be done. It was 3 days after that strange text about Lucas when I got a message from Tara. Hey, can we meet for coffee? Just want to clear a few things up. Not taking sides. Her name popping up surprised me. Out of all Renee's friends, Tara had always been the least loud, the one who sometimes looked uncomfortable when the other two started teasing me. I told her I could meet my office during lunch. When I got to the cafe, she was already sitting there. Hoodie, sunglasses, coffee half gone. She looked rough, like she hadn't slept much. I'm not here to argue, she said right away. I just don't want you thinking I'm like them. Didn't think you were, I said. But I'm curious why you messaged me. She sighed and leaned forward. You got that text about Lucas, right? Yeah, still don't know who that is. Her eyes flicked down to her cup. He's the guy we met in Hawaii. Well, the guy Renee met kind of. It's messy. I just nodded, letting her talk. Tara took a breath. So Lucas Wren, he's some travel influencer, has followers, sponsors, free stays at resorts, that kind of guy. We met him the second night there. He bought us drinks, said he could get us into a private event. Renee was all over him instantly. She stopped, rubbed her forehead. The rest of the week got messy. Renee hooked up with him first. Ava did 2 nights later. I ended up with him after that. None of us knew until we got home and saw his stories. He posted clips of each of us, different days, same room. She laughed once, a humorless sound. We realized what happened when one of my friends tagged me in a post. That's when everything blew up between us. Renee called us traitors. Ava called her a liar. Lucas blocked all three of us before the flight back. I didn't say anything for a few seconds. She looked like she was waiting for me to explode or laugh or something. Finally, I said, so she lost him, lost the friendship, and then came home to find out she lost the apartment. That about right? Tara nodded. Yeah, at least she got the group rate, I said. She actually laughed. Short but real. Then she shook her head. She's spiraling, Noah. She's trying to spin it like she ended things with him, like it was her choice, but she's been blowing up his DMs nonstop. I think she's scared of what's coming. What's coming? I asked. Tara leaned closer. Her company knows about the card thing. I still work with someone in accounting. They said her expenses are under review. HR got copies of those receipts from your bank. She's on temporary leave, which basically means suspended. I leaned back, arms crossed. Makes sense. She bit her lip. I didn't want to reach out, but you didn't deserve how she handled any of this. She keeps telling people you were controlling and that you locked her out. The apartment, she's rewriting everything. I figured. I said that's what people do when facts don't match their story. Tara nodded. I'm just tired of it. I'm done being friends with her. Ava's pretending she's fine, but she's furious. They're posting those fake motivational quotes about loyalty and betrayal. You've probably seen them. I muted all of them. I said, good call. She finished her coffee and stood up. Anyway, I just wanted you to know the truth. You didn't imagine anything. She really was with that guy, and she's still trying to dig herself out. Thanks for being straight with me, I said. She nodded once, then walked out without looking back. When I got home later, I opened my laptop and scrolled through social media just to see if what Tara said lined up. It did. The cracks were showing. Renee had switched her profile picture to some quote about growth through pain. Ava's latest post said, don't betray people who would have done anything for you. The comments were half sympathy, half gossip. Tara had gone quiet completely. Then I saw the clip. It had been uploaded by some gossip account. Grainy footage from the boutique's camera, apparently screen recorded from a clerk's private story. Renee signing a receipt, laughing. The same image the bank investigator had sent me. Whoever leaked it didn't tag me, but the comments were brutal. So much for independent woman. LOL. Imagine using your man's card on vacation with someone else. That's wild. The sympathy she'd built up started crumbling fast. She turned off comments an hour later. A few hours after that, someone posted a screenshot of an internal memo from her company. It said she was on administrative suspension pending investigation. It spread fast. Everyone in her circle either went silent or started posting those don't believe everything you see online messages. Ava changed her bio to trust no one. Renee's followers started unfollowing her in big numbers. The same people who had been sending hearts were now calling her fake. I didn't post anything. I just scrolled, closed the apps, and got dressed for the gym. The next week was quiet. I worked, trained, and slept. That was it. It's strange how simple life feels when you stop reacting. I didn't need to prove anything. The truth had already done it for me. A week after the video leak, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail, then listened. Hello. Noah, this is Elaine, called Calder, Renee's mother. I wanted to thank you for handling everything with respect. Her voice was calm, older but steady. I called back. Hi, Mrs. Calder, I said. She sounded almost relieved. I got the letter you mailed me. The one Renee wrote to her father. I appreciate you sending it instead of throwing it away. I figured it wasn't mine to keep. There was a pause. Then she said quietly, she's done this before, makes a mess, blames whoever's closest. I used to think it was immaturity, but it's a pattern now. You handled it better than most. I just handled what was mine, I said. She won't see it that way. Elaine said, but I wanted to tell you thank you for not being cruel. That was never the goal. When we hung up, I dropped the call log into proof like everything else. Not to be petty, just consistent. The next morning, an email from the bank arrived. Case closed. Full refund approved. Attached was a PDF confirmation and a note from the investigator thanking me for clear documentation. I saved the file and moved it into the folder. Small victory done cleanly. Later that day, another email popped up, this time from Renee. Subject: financial settlement. You owe me for my belongings and the mental stress you caused by violating my privacy. I expect $3,000 by Friday or I'll be taking this further. No greeting, no signature, just that. I didn't reply. I forwarded it straight to my lawyer who had already helped with the fraud paperwork. He wrote back half an hour later, handled, cease and desist. Going out today, that was that. By midweek, I started clearing the last of the furniture. A couple of items had been ours together: sofa, table, small shelf. I sold them online, took what I got, and split it mentally. Part for savings, part for good. That afternoon, I donated a few hundred to a local program that helped people get out of bad financial situations. It felt like the right way to close the loop. On Friday, I drove back to the old building to return the last key card to the landlord. The back seat had the last of the boxes, some tools, leftover cleaning supplies, and a few things I didn't need but hadn't decided whether to toss yet. Paul met me at the front gate. "You really left this place spotless," he said. "Wish everyone moved out like that." "Old habits," I said. He handed me a small envelope with my deposit check inside. There was a handwritten note clipped to it. "Immaculate, thank you." I was about to leave when I saw her, Renee, standing outside the gate. Phone in hand, eyes red like she hadn't slept. She spotted me right away and came toward the car fast. I stayed where I was. She started yelling before she reached me. "You think this makes you the good guy? You lied about everything. You turned my friends against me." I rolled down the window halfway. "You should go home, Renee. You ruined my life," she said, voice cracking. "You want everyone to see me as some monster. Well, congratulations, you did it." Paul came outside when he heard the shouting. "So, did the security guard from the front desk?" "Ma'am," the guard said, "you need to step back from the vehicle." She ignored him. "You think you can just move on like nothing happened? You think this is over?" "Yeah," I said, "it is." Security stepped between us. Paul looked embarrassed. Renee shouted a few more things I couldn't even make out before the guard guided her toward the sidewalk. I rolled the window up and waited until they were gone. No yelling. No scene, just air conditioning humming and the faint sound of city traffic. After a minute, I pulled out of the lot. When I got to my new apartment, it was quiet. Smaller space, one bedroom, white walls, barely any furniture, exactly what I wanted. I unpacked the essentials: laptop, a few shirts, a chair, and my coffee maker. That was all I needed. I set the deposit check on the counter next to the keys. For the first time in months, there wasn't a single notification or message waiting for me. No clutter, no noise, just space that finally felt like mine. 2 months later, everything looked different. Work was steady again. I was back to hitting the gym every morning before logging in. Weekends were quiet, some running, some laundry, no drama, no noise. The new apartment felt lived in now. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. A couch that didn't creak, a small table that doubled as a desk, a balcony that caught just enough evening sun. The biggest difference, though, was Apollo. Golden retriever I adopted from a rescue shelter. The lady there said he'd been abandoned, left behind when his owner moved. I looked at him through the glass and thought, yeah, same story. Now he's the one waking me up every morning, pale, hitting the wall, head on the bed, waiting for breakfast. He follows me everywhere like he's making sure I don't disappear on him. 2. Victor came over one Friday evening carrying 2 bags of takeout and a couple of sodas. "You look like a man who eats cold food too often," he said, walking straight to the balcony. Apollo loved him instantly, probably the tone of voice firm but calm. We sat out there while the city lights came on, eating noodles from cartons. No heavy talk, just small stuff. Work, neighbors, Victor's plans to visit his sister. Then he nodded toward Apollo, who was asleep on my feet. "Good choice," he said. "Dogs don't lie. People could learn from that." "Yeah," I said. "He doesn't ask questions, doesn't talk back, doesn't text from Hawaii." Victor laughed, quiet and short. "You're doing fine, kid. Don't waste energy looking behind you." "I'm not," I said. "I deleted half my past already." He gave a slow nod like that was enough. The next week after work, I stopped by a cafe near the park. I brought my laptop to finish a few things, ordered coffee, and sat by the window. Apollo was tied outside with his water bowl, watching every person who passed like it was his job. About 20 minutes in, I looked up and froze. Renee had just walked in. She didn't see me at first. Her hair was darker, shorter, no makeup, no shine. She looked tired in that way people do when their lives haven't been going how they tell others online. Then she noticed me. Her eyes widened for a second before she masked it with a half smile. She walked over, holding her phone like a prop. "Didn't expect to see you here," she said. Her voice was flat. I nodded once. "It's a small city." She crossed her arms. "So you're just happy now? That easy?" I kept my tone even. "I'm fine." She tilted her head. "You think you're better than me now, huh?" I met her eyes. "No," I said, "just better without you." That shut her up. She stood there like she wanted to say something else but couldn't find the words. I took my coffee, gave Apollo's leash a gentle tug through the window and left. Outside, the air felt clean. Apollo wagged his tail and pressed against my leg like he already knew it was done. When I got home that evening, the apartment was quiet except for the sound of his paws on the tile. I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, and clicked into proof for the first time in weeks. There it was, every screenshot, every receipt, every photo, the whole mess neatly contained. I scrolled through a few files, her message, the bank report, the image from the boutique. None of it made me angry anymore, it just looked like evidence from a different life. I highlighted everything, hit delete, and emptied the recycle bin without a second. Thought. The phone buzzed almost immediately after a notification from the bank app. Settlement posted. Chargeback finalized. I smiled and opened the windows. A soft breeze came in and Apollo jumped onto the couch, curling up like he owned it. I leaned back, looking around at the small apartment. Quiet, clean, simple, stay single and get a dog, I said out loud. Apollo wagged his tail once like he agreed. It's been 2 years since everything ended and life has a different rhythm now. No noise, no chaos, just structure and peace. Apollo's a little bigger, a little lazier. He still sleeps next to my desk when I work and jumps up when he hears the word park. The rescue lady told me he might take a while to trust people again, but he adjusted fast. I guess we both did work solid. I got promoted last fall not because I hustled harder but because I finally stopped carrying extra weight. When you're not waking up to fights or worrying about who's using your card, your mind works better. I didn't realize how much space peace gives you until I had it. I moved again, nothing major, just to a slightly bigger place with better sunlight. It feels like a clean continuation of everything I started that month. I packed up and walked away. I've kept it minimal. Couch, bed, desk, coffee machine, and a handful of framed photos. One of Apollo as a puppy, one of a trail up north where we hike every few months, and one with Victor and Hank on the balcony. Renee's name hasn't come up in a long time. The last thing I heard, she left the company not long after the audit ended. Word was she tried freelancing for a while then went quiet online. I don't wish her anything bad. Honestly, I hope she figured herself out. We were just two people with mismatched definitions of respect. That's not a crime, it's just a lesson you pay for. Every now and then someone will ask if I'm seeing anyone. I tell them I'm not in a rush. I like my space, my dog, my quiet mornings, the old version of me. Used to mistake noise for energy and attention for love. Now I just call it what it is, distraction. If I've learned anything, it's that peace doesn't show up like a gift. You build it, you guard it, and you don't hand it to someone who hasn't earned there. If you enjoyed the story, hit like and don't forget subscribe to the channel.